I'm Earl Ofari Hutchinson, political analyst and president of the Los Angeles Urban Policy Roundtable. Frederick Douglass. Cannot repeat this name enough. Frederick Douglass. The 4th of July forever, ever will be emblazoned and memorialized as a 4th of July like few have ever heard before in a speech by Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was invited to give a presentation to the Rochester's Ladies Anti-Slavery Society in Rochester, New York. Not July 4th, July 5th, 1852, 173 years ago. Many scholars, many analysts, many historians have said the Douglass speech, "What is your 4th of July to a slave?" is the greatest, or at least one of, in my opinion, the greatest speech ever given by an American. Racism, economic injustice, inequality, political classism, hypocrisy is swept the whole panorama and the visages of history in this one presentation. The ladies, they thought of the Anti-Slavery Society, they were going to hear just a little genteel in between their coffee and tea, a little genteel critique of slavery. That's what they thought. They'd applaud politely because Douglass was there and then go on about their business. But they were a witness to history that day, something few, if any, had ever heard in an oration. What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days in the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is a constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham. Your boasted liberty and unholy alliance, your national greatness, swelling vanity, your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless. Your denunciation of tyrants, brass, fronted impudence, your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow, mockery, your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all of your religious parade and solemnity are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy. A thin veil to cover up your crimes, which would disgrace a nation of savages. Disgrace a nation of savages. This is not a nation on the earth, guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of these United States at this very hour. Go where you may, search where you will, roam through the monarchies and despotisms of the old world, travel through South America, search out every abuse, and when you have found the last, lay your facts by the side of the everyday practices of this nation, and you will say with me that for revolting barbarity and shameless hypocrisy, America reigns without a rival. Frederick Douglass, July 5th, 1852, to the Rochester Ladies Anti-Slavery Society. What is your 4th of July to a slave? A speech that is a speech for the ages. And even though this was presented 173 years ago on July 5th, 1852, and now this is July 5th, 4th, 2025. it can truly be said that what Douglass said on that memorable day in that sweeping speech that encompassed history of this country and globally, the impact of injustice still stands. And it still requires an answer. Douglass asked the question, what is your 4th of July to the slave? I think 173 years later, we can ask that question again. What is your 4th of July to those that suffer injustice, those that suffer oppression, those that suffer inequality, those that suffer racial, gender, religious, and most important, equally, globally, hunger and poverty, that suffer that and continue to suffer that. What is your 4th of July to the slave? Take out that word slave and put all of humanity that suffers any injustice. Put that in there instead of slave. And 173 years later, we're still asking that question that Douglass asked on that memorable day in that memorable speech, a speech that stands and will always stand for the ages. I'm Earl Ofari Hutchinson. Thank you for joining me. My annual presentation, Frederick Douglass, one of, if not the greatest American.